Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back, my friends. Today we have with us the CEO and the co-founder of Smartrmail, a tool that helps e-commerce stores send better email marketing by using machine learning to personalize email. This is fantastic. Machine learning. So we have with us today the CEO, like I said, George Hartley. George, how's it going?
Great, Quinn. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm really fascinated to find out what this machine learning it is. But I mean, before we get there, George, I mentioned that you're the CEO and the co-founder, but you were also the co-founder of one of the biggest, or was, I guess, Australia's biggest marketplace, bluethumb.com.au. Are you still connected to that business?
I still am. My brother, who I co-founded Blue Thumb with, he runs it. And, I'm pretty close to the team here. A lot of them are based in Melbourne. We work out of the same office, and I still work on the product with them a little bit too. I love it. Like you said, it's Australia's largest online art marketplace. So it's a place for artists to sell their artwork.
Nice. Like what exactly is, they just paint something at home and then list it there?
Yeah, exactly right. It's it's a way for a sort of any artist, whether they're getting into it or career artists, to kind of manage their own career in visual art. We obviously connect all the art collectors in Australia to visual artists here and help them sort of exhibit and sell.
That's incredible. And you don't let anybody, just random people, come in and start selling on your platform if it's not art? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we vet what they're uploading. It has to be original sort of art that can be hung. But it is an open platform. We started it back in 2012. I was a failed musician and a UX designer, and I wanted to do something in music actually, but I couldn't see a way to improve upon SoundCloud. So we thought, why not do like SoundCloud but for art? So that's how we got started.
Wow. And then, so tell me then, how do you go from a failed musician to this success that is Smartrmail? And tell me, how did you get there? How did this start?
Yeah. So like I said, back in 2012, my brother Ed and other co-founder Phil, we got going with Blue Thumb, and we all had other jobs at the time, so we're doing it in our spare time and bootstrapping it. I guess so. It took a bit longer than a traditional kind of startup who raises seed money and and presses go. And along the way, we actually bought and sold a couple of little businesses on the side off, the few marketplaces where you can kind of like buy websites and grow them. So we kind of cut our teeth a little bit in general marketing hustle by learning it ourselves as we were doing it. And I was back at uni studying computer science as well. And we kind of built, as a marketing funnel, this system for Blue Thumb to do with emails. And our problem at the time was, we knew email was a really important channel for e-commerce in general. And people who would come, they'd look for art and they might add some stuff to cart or create some favorites. But then we were using third-party emailing systems that weren't letting us send targeted content emails, Someone has come and they've liked 3 artworks. Like, why can't we send them some recommended products based on that? Not based on the fact that they're sitting in Sydney. So the third-party products kind of just seemed a bit sort of dumb. They had segments, but especially with art, it's very, very personal what you like, and it's based on the data. So we built some crude system to do with emails that used this data, and it worked really well as a retention and conversion funnel tool. And that kind of gave us, the idea for Smartrmail, I guess. And so, Phil and I, we said, so why can't we build a tool that plugs into any e-commerce store that lets them use their data for this type of automated email marketing and potentially other types of marketing, right? And so that was like the genesis for the idea. And, we thought, we've sort of done this once, we know how to approach it. This might take 3 or 4 months. And then lo and behold, like 17 months later, we have an MVP, which we launched. And we launched it on Shopify and BigCommerce as like a plugin for those e-commerce stores back in 2016.
Oh, wow. Nice. And I see that you guys have this growth month to month, 10%. That's insane growth. That's really, really good numbers. Is it like a constant 10%? It's been keeping up?
No. And that's the one thing, having sort of now we've done, this is the second startup and it's still involved in the first. Growth is lumpy. Like I know there are some people out there who have like a really nice, every month it's 8%. You can, set your watch by that number. But from my experience in chatting with other folks, it's always a bit lumpy and there's a big element of luck in in this stuff. Like, for example, COVID, when that happened, we thought, oh, damn, we're cactus, we're cooked. And then very quickly we realized, oh shit, our servers are crashing because of how much extra business
really
and signups are coming in. It was insane. And so that, COVID actually turned into a big spike, and you can't predict these things. It's completely out of your control. All you can do is just try, all that we try and do is put a framework around our channel testing and just be as I guess scientific about it as we can, because like what we found is really 1 in 3, 1 in 4 things you think will work actually work, and it's when one of those things actually does the trick, then you get a 15% month on month, and then the next month you'll get 2%. So it's lumpy and a lot of it's luck, but you can kind of improve your luck by increasing the rate at which you channel test.
Exactly. And the retention is there, the month-to-month retention of your customers?
Yeah, our churn's good. So like an ugly secret of these e-commerce platforms is that they have pretty high churn. That you won't be able to find a published number anywhere from your BigCommerce, Magento, Shopify. These guys aren't going to go out and say they have 8% monthly churn, but they have high churn. Yeah. I can tell you it's around that number-ish, depending on the platform. Some are a bit lower. So that's, as Smartrmail, we are on top of these platforms. So that's actually our baseline of what we're dealing with. So to even get below 8% month-on-month churn, we have to work really hard and make sure we're over-servicing customers. And even then, our biggest churn reason for Smartrmail is a store shutting down or going out of business. And you just can't do a thing about that.
Yes.
But yeah, our sort of average length of customer is almost 18 months. So that's pretty good, I think, for the space we're in.
Perfect. Now, here's one of the things I've always wanted to know. As an email service provider, are you responsible for, let's say I create an account and I'm a big time spammer, and is what I'm doing going to influence your IPs, or could it be bad for you guys?
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, we have a team working on security, and if we let a spammer on, they can burn our sending IPs, they can burn our sending domains. It is very much on us to not let that happen. And so we have a whole bunch of systems that we've built, and a lot of monitoring and people on it to stop that happening. Because it ultimately it impacts us and impacts our other customers as well.
Gotcha. I always wanted to know that, because I mean there's so many people out there that could destroy IPs really quickly with the stuff they do. And here's another one. We'll get into the business a bit right away. But when somebody reports an email for spam, does it go, let's say you are the provider, is it gonna send you something? Say, hey, this Quinn guy keeps sending spam?
Not all the time, no. We rely on the third-party inboxes to basically feed that data back, and a bunch of them don't. Some of them do. So, yeah, it doesn't always come back to us. If someone has, say, they're in their Gmail inbox and they've marked it as spam, or, if they're in Hotmail and marked it as spam, it doesn't always get back to us. But we have other ways as well. So on an unsubscribe screen with us, once you get to it says you've unsubscribed. It also says what was the reason, and then we can measure there if people are clicking spam. And obviously, there's all sorts of other stuff around, like bounce rates on upload, engagement rates when you send, things like that.
Gotcha. So George, I know one of the things that every email marketer wants is big open rates and big click rates. And it's hard these days with the amount of spam that's out there. It's hard to have a perfect subject that's going to get people to click on. And so can you give us some tips that what is working today in 2020?
Sure. So it's funny, a lot of it actually comes down to the sort of soft skills, like your content writing and your ability to deliver on your brand expectation. So it's weird. It's not like I could say, send at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and use one emoji in the subject line and you'll get like a 3% kick up. The variation in engagement rates is extreme for e-commerce stores, and it is very, very much about the sort of copywriting, being on brand, understanding your audience, being consistent with your emailing. So if you set the expectations that you're going to email every fortnight, stick to it. All those sorts of things actually add up to good engagement over those consistently high, like 25, 30% open rates, as opposed to the people who get, you get 4 or 5%, and they just do all the opposite of that stuff. The other big one there, obviously, is keeping like list hygiene, like keeping a clean list. And it's sort of, I remember even when we started, before we, ran an email company, we sort of, we had this list of all these people who wanted to hear about art. And, if they hadn't opened in 6 months, we sort of continued to email to them because we didn't know what we're doing. And we thought, maybe eventually they'll open. Yeah. But that's really not the way to go. The inbox providers are smart, and they can see if your engagement rates are sort of dropping off and you're still emailing someone who hasn't opened an email in 9 months, you should really clean them off your list. Because really email engagement is like a virtuous cycle as well. That, like I said, Gmail is smart. If you have decent engagement on your emailing that you send regularly, well, they're actually going to prioritize inboxing for you, and that kind of improves itself, and also the opposite. So it's you do need to clean lists, especially as you grow and start running it for a while.
Nice. So when you mentioned the copywriting, of course, we know that's very important. Now, have you experienced with, let me explain this question. I follow a lot of marketers, some of them, the well-known names out there. And then I subscribe to their list so I can see what they're doing, what emails they send. And sometimes I get an email that has 3,000 characters. And my reaction is, hi, man, I am not going to read this. I delete that. Now, because I see them doing it, I wonder, it has to work for somebody. So in your experience, what works? Is it the email that has 2 lines, goes straight to the point, or that full page 2,000 character one?
It's actually, both can work. So it's like setting expectations. There's certainly some content, and especially like focused around content, people, most generally not using Smartermail because we're very e-commerce focused. But some of those content people who do the really long form emails, they, from talking to them, they actually can get an amazing engagement rate on like a 3,000 word piece. And it's the people who sort of want to hear from them and will invest the time and energy to read it. For us in the e-commerce space, cleaner, simpler, product-focused actually works. There are obviously exceptions, and especially there's some brands on us who really have a really unique tone of voice, I guess. And so, they have more sort of like word-rich, content-heavy emails and less product emails, and they get amazing engagement rates. But in general, for us, our highest performing email type is incredibly simple email, the product recommendation email. Mm-hmm. And when I say highest performing, I mean actually a revenue per email sent is the highest across all of Smartermail using those product recommendation emails that we've built. And they are simple as hell. They are literally a subject line. You can add some content at the top if you want, but they are just products recommended for you based on what you've bought, added to cart, or liked. And yeah, sort of bang for buck if you're talking about optimizing for revenue, they are by far the best performing emails on our platform.
Gotcha. Now about Smartermail, and correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. It is Smartermail.
That's right.
Okay. Is it possible, or will it ever be possible, that it can connect to Walmart? Because I selling on Amazon, for example, there are a lot of service providers that connect through to my Amazon account, and I can automatically send emails when somebody buys something or when it gets delivered. But for Walmart, I don't have any service to do this. Any idea if is yours will it be able in the future to do this?
Maybe. Sounds like a feature request.
Yes.
Gwyn, we haven't actually scoped out a Walmart connection, so I don't know unless I had a look at what data they can provide. Potentially, if we can get all the data, and that's your product, your sales, and your customer data, and pump it all into Smartermail, we could build it as an integration. I just need to have a look, but that's we are adding platforms at the moment. We have a team doing that, and maybe.
Gotcha. So there you go. It will be a feature request. So George, then Shopify, WordPress, the WooCommerce, and all that, I can just basically download your app, or is it already in the store officially? For example, for Shopify.
Yeah. It's in those marketplaces on all those platforms. So if you're on WooCommerce or Shopify or BigCommerce, you go to their app stores and you can find it as an app, and it's sort of one click install, which is really, that was our whole ethos going forward. Is like we want to give smaller e-commerce stores the power of an Amazon, who have a team doing this machine learning and automations. We want to give them this kind of power as a plugin. So it's got an easy setup. And so, on all those platforms, it's one click.
So can you explain what exactly is, we know what machine learning is, but what exactly is it going to be doing with email? Does it learn with open rates or not? Is that what it is?
It's not that smart yet. What it does is it lets you select automatic content in your emails. So you can have different types of, I guess you call them smart blocks in your emails. And you can set these up as automatic emails. So you might want to send out a regular product recommendation email that goes to all of your previous customers that says, "Hey, George, we know you like this t-shirt you bought from us. Here's a couple more that are from our new stock that we think you like." And what we do in the background is we just take in all of that customer data that we have about each individual person on your list, and we calculate their most recommended products, in order. And we continually calculate that as they come back to your store and sort of, get more click data and on-page data. And yeah, you can set up automations. You can use them in your normal email newsletters as well, and just send basically personalized content at like a bulk scale.
Man, that is exciting. So, for example, I can go to my email and say, okay, I want you to every 6 days send the list of this week's most sold products, for example. Is that one of the features? Wow.
Yep.
Okay. And then, these are the ones that are in sale in order of bigger discount. And it also keeps a history of what George bought from me, for example. So, oh, wow. So then this is impressive. So cool. Because then you know that George bought a coffee mug and he bought also the coffee t-shirt. Will it store data that this George guy is a coffee lover? So send them things that are tagged with coffee?
It doesn't run on tags. It actually runs on similar products and similar people. So we just feed all that data, to an ML stack, and it sort of comes back with people who bought that t-shirt also seem to like these products, and people like George also seem to buy these things, and it takes a mix of that and says, here's some recommendations for him. And you can include those sort of smart products and smart blocks in your like abandoned carts as well, and other sorts of emails. So if, you have some data on someone and they come back to your store and they abandon that coffee mug, you send an automatic email 30 minutes later that says, hey, do you still want your mug? Or people also like these other few things as well. It just helps you with, it genuinely helps with your revenue from email, because, sending relevant stuff is always going to get more clicks and eventually, more sales.
Yes, that's absolutely true and beautiful that it's so easy these days to do these things. This would have been near impossible just a few years ago to do such thing. Tell me something, George. How do you grow email lists? Actually, let me tell you something before you reveal your secret, if you will reveal your secret. There's an experience that I had recently with a big marketing company. It's a name that almost everybody out there knows. And they wanted to create an email list for Amazon sellers. So they build software, right? They're tech people. And they created a tool for Amazon sellers. They put it out there for free. There's no strings attached. You don't even need to enter your credit card. The tool is free. And I'm like, the tool is actually pretty good. So why would you make it free? Well, we have every seller's email out there now. And that is so genius. And of course, now they're going to launch all the tools, and they already have the emails to market to them. So, that's just one way. But of course, I want to know your ways if you're willing to share with us.
Sure. So I guess the first thing when we talk about growing your email list, and I say this to our stores as well, is start by measuring what your current growth is. So it's really important to kind of get a baseline of how much you're growing every month. And as soon as you're sort of measuring it, it's okay, cool, we can try some experiments, we can do some stuff to try and improve that. If you're growing at least 4% a month, awesome, that's naturally happening. Let's try some stuff. So number one is measure it. And then, obviously, the really sort of easiest, most obvious thing is make sure you're running some sort of on-page pop-up. A lot of people, a lot of people sort of and ah about it. It's worth trying. Look at your bounce. If you're not doing it, look at your bounce rate when you start running it. Make sure that doesn't really change too much. Make sure you're not pissing people off. But that's the easiest, number one lowest hanging fruit. Run a pop-up. And with the pop-up, make sure you're giving people some sort of value or like something for why they're going to give you your email address. And, if you don't want to be so aggressive, don't run it immediately. Put it on a time delay or a click delay or whatever. But definitely collect on page. And especially in e-commerce, it's funny, some, stores who aren't doing it, they might be paying for traffic and they're spending a lot of time getting traffic in. And if they're really, really good store, they might have a 1% conversion rate, right? And so obviously 99 out of 100 people are coming to your store and bouncing. If you're running a pop-up and it's performing decently, you might capture 6% of that traffic into your email funnel, which, depending on how good your funnel is and all the rest, you can kind of double, triple, quadruple your conversion rate just by having a pop-up and a funnel. Test out pop-ups, run them. Then for us as a B2B company, we do a lot of work to grow our email, to grow how we collect email addresses. It's not as relevant for e-commerce, but we do a lot of partnership stuff. So we will pair up with similar apps or people in the space or platforms, and we'll do content together or run contests together, and collect emails sort of that way. Right now, we're doing a new initiative where we're coming up with a Black Friday hub for e-commerce. So it's our app, Smartrmail, and then a bunch of other apps. There's like a specific pop-up app and some guys who do push notifications, and a whole bunch of these e-commerce apps in the space we're all putting together on a big landing page, and we're all going to sort of cross-promote it. And on that page, we're actually you're going to run some discounts for these apps and collect emails. So we put a lot of effort into sort of those, external collabs and whatnot, and webinars and things like that as well.
Is it harder to get emails for B2B than it is to B2C?
Is it harder?
Because you're probably dealing with e-commerce companies, other marketers that when they see the email, they know you're being marketed to. While if it's in the email B2C, they're more likely to just like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, I think it probably is. If you're a nice e-commerce brand, people have hit your page, a lot of them are pretty engaged. They're happy to hear from you again. You're right. Yeah. B2B, it probably is a bit harder. People are pretty savvy. I don't know.
So, George, before I let you go, tell me something. Every industry out there always has, those things. One is myths, but then there's also the ones that, everybody or a lot of people are making that same mistake because they heard it somewhere. Some influencer said something wrong. So what's like the most common mistake or even the biggest mistakes that you see being done now?
So this is a hard one, sort of hard-earned lesson, I would say, from going from an art marketplace to a SaaS piece of software, and it's around it's around what an MVP can be. I think in building a piece of marketing software, an MVP, the MVP bar turns out is much higher than you think. So it takes a long time to get to like a minimum viable product in B2B and SaaS from my experience doing it once, right? So moving quickly is just very, very hard. So really where we got to was, I said it took us 17 months to get to our MVP. Really that was a 0.1. It took us another 12 months to get to version 1 MVP. So that's, 2.5 years. So I think that is that's something we learned, is that when you're building software that is mission critical, it just has to work flawlessly. And so it's taking half our team are probably working on stability and infrastructure and bugs the whole time. And that's just the reality of building kind of mission critical marketing software. Yeah.
You know what? Not everybody has the same standard when it comes to the MVP, right? Because you guys are probably very picky and your MVP actually has to work. While sometimes you see like, oh yeah, this is the MVP, launch it. Does it work? No, launch it, right?
Yeah, it's hard to build vaporware in the SaaS space, I guess, in the B2B SaaS space, I would say. So,
Oh, man. So, George, for anybody that wants to try the tool, check it out, and know more about you too, where can they go to find it?
Sure. Anyone who's in e-commerce who wants to, do sort of level up their email marketing, just Google Smartrmail, go to smartrmail.com, or look for us in the platform app stores.
Gotcha. Perfect. I'll have that also in the show notes. And for those of you listening, I also have George's Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course, smartermail.com. So, George, thank you so much. I'm one of those that's going to check it out, and I hope everybody else does too.
Awesome. Thanks, Quinn. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.